2018 NBA draft is looking to be as stacked, if not more stacked, than the 2017 draft. DeAndre Ayton looks like a future top 3 center. Doncic is someone that I've changed my mind on recently. He will be a fantastic player. Marvin Bagley has heaps of potential. Mo Bamba looks to be a freak of nature who will be an elite rim protector and has shown signs as a shooter. And there are many other guys that have heaps of potential. But almost every year there is at least one guy that goes later in the draft that ends up being a steal. Last year it was Kyle Kuzma. In 2016 it was Malcolm Brogdon, who became the first second-round pick ever to win Rookie of the Year. In 2015 it was Bobby Portis. In 2014 it was Nikola Jokic. And in 2013 it was Rudy Gobert. So today's video is on who I believe will be the biggest steal of the 2018 NBA draft, and I believe that the biggest steal of the 2018 draft will be Landry Shamet. And if you want to talk NBA draft or just NBA in general, there is no better place to do it than the Hardwood Amino app. Hardwood Amino is the fastest growing NBA community in the world with nearly 100,000 members and counting. In this app, you can talk in chat rooms, read NBA-related articles, post your own NBA articles, vote on various NBA polls, and take NBA quizzes made by the Hardwood Amino community. Right now, I'm taking a quiz on Dirk Nowitzki because he just turned 40 years old. Wasn't sure where he was born in Germany, so I did get that one wrong. The app shows how many people are online and what they are doing, and you can join in on whatever they're doing. This app is constantly evolving, and they continue to add new features to make the app even more entertaining. If you'd like to download this app, the link will be pinned at the top of the comment section, and it will be the first link in the description. Let me first explain Shamet's game. Shamet is a 6'5" combo guard. The first thing that stands out about Shamet is his three-point shooting ability. Off of the catch, off of the dribble, a few feet behind the line, he can hit it any way that you ask him to. This also applies to his mid-range game. The next thing that stands out is his length. Landry Shamet is 6'5", and he has a 7-foot wingspan. He's built very similar to Sean Livingston. They both have a 7-foot wingspan, but Shamet is 2 inches shorter. Shamet is also a good ball handler and a very solid passer. Not a standout player in either of those areas, but he does get the job done in both of those areas. Same could be said for his finishing around the basket, and I imagine with his length and touch, he should be able to develop a nice floater game. In his first college season at Wichita State, Shamet went down with a foot injury, so he had an injury redshirt. So in his first full quote-unquote freshman season, Landry averaged 11.4 points, 3.3 assists, 2.8 rebounds, and he shot 47% from the field and 44% from 3 on 4.6 3-point attempts per game. And in his sophomore year, Shamet averaged 14.9 points, 5.2 assists, 2.8 rebounds, and he shot 49% from the field and once again 44% from 3, this time on 5.9 attempts per game. So essentially Shamet is a great shooting combo guard that can put the ball on the floor and create for others. My player comparison for him would be Kevin Martin. If you don't know who Kevin Martin is, to me, he was one of the most underrated players in the league for most of his career. He averaged 17 points for his career and shot 38% from 3. He was a scoring 2 guard that scored mostly off of 3-pointers. He was a solid ball handler, but he was never much of a passer, something I think Shamet will be average to above average at. Martin also averaged 23 plus points 3 different times in his career, which I think is a little outside of Shamet's reach for what he will average for his career, but I feel their games will be very similar, with less scoring but more passing in Shamet's case. Now, let's talk about the teams that he could potentially go to. The highest I've seen him on mock drafts is him to Indiana at number 23, so let's start right there. While Darren Collison was a great starting point guard for Indiana this season, shooting 46.8% from 3, which is the best in the league this season, he is 30 years old, and not really a long-term option with this Indiana team that should be looking for more young players to put around Victor Oladipo and Miles Turner. And Shamet, who is 21, would fit the timeline, and he would fit really well with Oladipo. Victor was the main ball handler for the Pacers this season, and when he wasn't handling the ball, either Corey Joseph or Darren Collison were handling the ball, while he ran three-point sets where he could either get the ball and attack or get an open three-pointer, or even shoot a contested three-pointer and it would still go in. Shamet, I think, would do great as an off-ball player to Oladipo, or the handler while Oladipo tries to create his own space. If Oladipo draws help defense, Shamet could get open for a three, or potentially cut back door and use his length to finish over a smaller guard. In LA, at pick 25, he could be an interesting pick with LA's potential free agent signings. Soon, if they end up signing LeBron and Paul George, a really good shooter at guard off of the bench on a late first rookie contract is something that the Lakers should be interested in. And I know that Shamet has had a workout with LA. For Philly at 26, more shooters around Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid is never a problem. Maybe Markelle Fultz really never figures out that jumper and cannot be the scoring guard that they want, and Shamet could potentially fill in that role. Boston at pick 27 might be looking for a replacement for Marcus Smart as a backup shooting guard, as he is a restricted free agent. And if they end up making a trade for Kawhi Leonard, Terry Rozier would also probably be gone in that trade, and having a shooting point guard to replace him late in the draft would be really good for them. Or if they keep Rozier and Marcus Smart ends up leaving in free agency, a backup two guard that can score is also never a problem, and he would fit perfectly into Brad Stevens' system. Then again, very rarely do players not fit perfectly into Brad Stevens' system. For Golden State, Sean Livingston is getting pretty old, and they can never have enough shooting. I'd personally not like to see him there because I don't think he will get his opportunity to shine there. Could say the same for Boston. And Atlanta could be looking for a Dennis Schroeder replacement, as he apparently wants out of Atlanta. And at pick 31, he could go even later than this, but this is the last one I'm going to talk about. He would be a great fit next to Devin Booker for the same reasons that he would be a great fit next to Victor Oladipo, playing off of the ball or handling while Booker is trying to get open for a three himself. And again, with the help defense on Booker, he could get open off of that. And Phoenix drafting Shamet along with DeAndre Ayton really could be a great draft for the Suns, because I believe those two could be your long-term starters. Now, as for why I think Shamet is going to be a huge steal, well, to put it simply, I think Shamet will be the Kyle Kuzma of this year's draft. I believe 16 points per game on solid efficiency is achievable for him if he goes to a team that would give him the minutes. As a shooter, he will be in the elite category day one, and I think he has the feel for the game and the IQ that he will be able to create for himself at a decent rate. He also will be able to hang around defensively. Though he could stand to get stronger with his length against point guards, he could be a lethal defender, and against shooting guards, he could be a good to great defender. At his peak, I think Shamet could average 20 and 6 and could be the third best player on a championship team. That's his ceiling, which I think he could potentially reach, and I'd bet that he would reach. His floor is that he will be at the very least a very good backup role-playing point guard, similar to Fred VanVleet off of the bench. He, in my opinion, will be the guy that when everyone looks back at this year's draft class will say, man, I don't know how that guy went so late. And this is going to be a controversial statement, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up being better than Trae Young. Because a lot of the shooting ability that Young has, Shamet has as well. But he is 4 inches taller, his wingspan is 9 inches longer, and though he isn't the passer that Young is, I could imagine him being a much more efficient shooter. He did shoot 8% better from 3 in college, though he did take less attempts. But even then, if Young cut his three-point attempts down from 10 to 6, I'd say it would be pretty close percentage-wise between the two. And again, with his length, I would expect Shamet to be a better finisher around the rim, and he will be a much better defender. But again, Young will be a better passer, and he will definitely be a better ball handler, so he does have that on him. I would put my money on Trae being the better player, but like I said, I would not be surprised if Shamet ended up being the better player. So don't be surprised if Landry Shamet ends up being a huge steal in the draft this year. He has all of the polish that he needs to be a very effective player, while also having the body to be successful and the potential to improve in the future, and he will make an impact early. As long as whatever team drafts him gives him the minutes, I would not be surprised if he ended up on the All-NBA rookie first team. Considering the lack of shooting guards in this year's draft, he could very well have a spot, and possibly he could outperform Trae Young or Colin Sexton or both. I believe that DeAndre Ayton will be a runaway candidate for Rookie of the Year, but Shamet will be an honorable mention for sure. That's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.